And go. Hey, everybody!
Why are you looking at me like that?
Episode 196 of the Youth Ministry Garage. This is our second show today. We are in a sprint to get to show 200.
We're also in a sprint to stay hydrated.
Yeah, it's a rough day.
And
if you listen to episode 195, it just took place a couple minutes ago. Who knows when these are going to get posted because it's in Matt's responsibility world. This is Matt to my right. I'm Doug. This is Katie. And the king of all youth ministry blogging at morethandodgeball.com is Josh Griffin. So
you're going to change that blog, right?
We are going to do episode 196 with two short shows back to back.
Love it.
We are in a sprint to get to show 200 because we're doing show 200 live in San Diego at the National Youth Workers Convention. Youth Specialties is our primary sponsor. They pay big dollars,
millions,
to have their name on this.
3 more after this, and then we're in our live.
8, 9. That's right, 3 more,
wow.
And then we're going to be live on
so cool.
Friday night, October 12th.
Everything good happens on the 12th, people.
It is the 12th?
Yeah.
What happens on the 12th?
And then we're not going to do it live in Dallas, but Josh and I will do a little mini podcast.
Absolutely.
Okay, because you guys aren't there in Dallas,
Yeah,
right?
we didn't get invited.
Yeah.
Dallas is hotter than it is here.
Not inside
It can be hotter than it is in this garage.
Oh my God.
No,
Boy,
don't show
here
me.
we
I'm
go.
good.
Someone's got a
Is it
wrap.
around?
No, it was for me doing this, waiting for us to start the show.
Oh, okay.
I've got little arm nipples
Yeah,
from...
that is awesome.
Anyway, hey,
nipples.
what?
You can't say that.
What's wrong? Nipple is not a bad word.
Hey, Seth, if you're editing this right here.
And go.
And we're back.
Anyway, we got a lot of questions. Hey, send your questions. Go to the Youth Ministry Garage. Help answer questions from our community. Send your questions in.
Did you guys know we had a Hall of Fame?
Yeah. Yeah, there's some of us
Discovered
on
last
this
episode.
side of you that actually care about the show, care about our sponsors. We need to make some calls in between show 195 and 196.
Repair some relationships.
Repair relationships. Matt says, for those of you that watch 195, I said, what are you doing making fun of Youth Ministry 360? And he goes, oh, those guys are the greatest. They're going to think that was funny.
I wasn't even that big of a deal. I just think it's funny that the whole world doesn't say Christians anymore because it's not cool, and they say Christ followers. That's all. I'm just pointing that out.
I like it better. It's more clear to me. It's like, oh, okay,
a little bit less biblical too.
Yeah. How many times is the word Christian used in the Bible?
Just once.
Yeah.
How many times is Christ follower?
Put those words together, several.
Now you're doing exegesis like you're.
Okay. All right.
Here.
Follow up to
proof texting with Doug Fields, Matt McGill.
Just kidding. Follow up an earlier podcast question. We're continuing to think about how to handle the upcoming retirement of our youth pastor after 40 years of youth ministry.
That's how old Katie
The past 10 of our church. Here's the thing. We have enough budget for 1.5 youth workers to cover junior high, high school, and college. How would you recommend splitting the pie? 3 part-timers, 1 full-time junior high, high school person, 1 part-time college, 1 full-time high school, college, 1 part-time junior high.
Wow,
Thanks for the podcast and the resources on how to serve our church's youth well.
Love it. That's great.
How would you do it?
Question.
How would you do it, Katie?
Question.
1 full-timer to oversee 3 1/3 timers. What about that option?
That's an option. That's what Matt
an option.
says.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah.
I'd say I don't think I can answer this question.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think. I'd have to know more context.
Well, and I think it's about finding the right person. If you find the right, a great guy who loves high school and college, then, so maybe be interviewing for a youth pastor and kind of see where their passions lie. If they are excited about junior high and high school, then maybe a part-time college, or I don't know.
Yeah, and if you have an adult or a young adult in your church that can do some college stuff, then maybe you give them a little stipend for 10 hours a week or something. I mean, it just depends, I'm in 100%
I would probably
agreement.
hire a youth pastor and a part-time admin for the youth
That's not a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
Because, usually most youth pastors, admins, maybe a little bit of a weak spot, are not the most glamorous part of youth ministry.
Yeah.
So,
Do you think this is when we send to the community?
yeah, maybe.
Well,
People are probably doing a lot of different things with one.
I just think you go.
on the Hall of Fame.
What in the Hall of Fame?
Yeah.
My concern is if I was consulting this guy, I'd go, and it is Bob Read it.
Read it.
Read it. WRIEDT.
Just down the street.
Seal Beach. Bob.
Oh.
So we could be consulting. He
Probably
could actually
Bob
show up to our thing that we're going to do one of
Yeah,
these days,
I like
Friday,
it.
Saturday, Sunday.
Little gathering.
Yeah, but I'm going. What's our best reach? What do we get the most traction with that money? So, you've got a 40 veteran. His income. So a salary and a half. Maybe if you had the right people, you get 3/3. You're not paying for insurance. You got that money back. Those are the right people. I don't know. It's a tough one to answer. Usually, ones like this, I don't let them slip through the crack like this.
Yeah.
But because we're doing 2 shows back to back, I have to fall on the sword and say I sucked.
This one's all you.
You don't
Yeah.
suck.
What do
I'm
you mean you
grateful
sucked
that
on
you
it?
do that.
I don't think this is a great question to start the show off with.
No.
I'm just not sure there's a great
It doesn't
answer.
apply to a bunch of people.
No, it applies. I think it's in. I think for me, that's where I was trying to go to the bigger picture principle is how do we get the most reach? So whether it's a full and a part-time person or your church only has
Squeeze blood from a turnip.
exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Well, I'll actually weigh in with an opinion.
Great.
That's our. I think you hire.
That started about
Okay,
show
let's move
120.
forward.
You hire a great
Really
high
went
school.
away.
You hire a great high school pastor that can lead up and lead down, and then you commit to bringing in a junior high person half-time right away, and as soon as possible bring them to full-time, and let the high caliber, sharp
Katie doesn't like
high
that
school
answer.
person, and then college can figure it out. They can have a great volunteer run it. The
Seriously.
lead high school guy can lead up. I think it's an opinion. They're right. There's no possible way to answer this.
What do you
but I
say,
would say
Katie?
that's a
I'd say
good.
hire an admin. I mean,
Yeah,
I
So
feel
you're
like
gonna stick with a full-time and an admin, and develop volunteers to run the other
a
ministries.
full-time that has a heart, to lead junior high and high school through volunteers, and college through volunteers. So many churches do that, and
Totally.
then somebody to handle all of your dirty work details.
What if you
that hate
hired?
doing.
What if you hired a guys pastor and a girls pastor, and you let them handle
Yeah,
all of it
that's
from
a great
junior
one.
high to young and college years?
A lot of ways to answer this
Yeah,
question.
absolutely.
We're going to move on to Austin Walker in Cabot, Arkansas.
I just looked at some stuff that he did.
I know, he left it on your photocopy machine or somebody stole it from him.
Somebody printed it out in my office. His pack up for students and leaders, and kind of getting them oriented to the ministry. And it was really awesome.
Good. He's a sharp guy. Anyway, I'm watching episode 192. Well, and that's awesome because Matt hasn't uploaded 193 or 194.
So the most recent show.
Yeah.
Well, it's uploaded by the time they watch this.
Well, who knows?
50-50
Who
chance.
knows?
It always goes in order. It's just like time.
You could have lost it. Anyway. And you're talking about the guy
This is
who's
super
who's
cool.
asked if he's arrived after 2 years. I'm under no assumption that I'll ever truly arrive, but I would like to think there comes a point where I'm excelling in areas. I'm 23 years old. I've been doing youth ministry in different forms since I was 18. I'm on my 2nd year of full-time youth ministry at a satellite campus of a large church in Arkansas. I don't have a staff team in youth ministry, and I have a young, inexperienced, super passionate team of volunteers and a fairly fresh group of students. Here's the question. How can I set realistic goals and expectations for areas of growth that are hard to measure, such as leadership development, community building, fostering and creating a healthy culture within the youth ministry, communication, and other intangibles that are important to student ministry? I've tried to set goals, but I have a hard time figuring out what's realistic and how to even measure things like that. Thanks for all you do, and can't wait for the National Youth Workers Convention in Dallas.
Oh, that's cool.
Nate will be
Yeah,
there.
Josh and I will
Mini
be there.
show.
You guys, the
See
mini
each
show.
other.
The mini show, 201.
Miniature wisdom, that's for sure.
You gonna stay through the weekend and go to a ball game? Come to the Cowboys game?
I'm staying the whole time.
You are?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's great.
I'm gonna go to the game with my dad.
That's great.
Oh, that's
Yeah, want to get me a
fun.
ticket?
I seriously.
What
will.
time?
Like noon Sunday.
See, I'm speaking that night, or I'm due the closing session. Yeah.
Well, text you my love.
TiVo.
From the
All right. Thanks for your support. All right. So how do you?
I think you can look. Okay, so this is a great question.
It is
and
a
I
great
think
question.
to be thinking about this in your 2nd year full time is really cool, and just kind of it kind of reveals a depth to your leadership and your thinking and your ministry that, I mean, I don't even know Austin other than he put together a great packet, but I mean, so that's a cool thing that you're thinking about. We been in this youth ministry now, this current context, for a little bit under 2 years, and last weekend was our biggest weekend in 2 years. So even like before I came, it was a huge milestone for us, and it was very cool. And it was funny, I came into meeting with our team, and I had a few agenda items, but the last minute, I just felt like, let's not jump into agenda. Before we pray, let's just say, hey, what did you see that was good? And at this point, I didn't know where it was going to go, but what did you see this weekend that you liked? Where did you see God work? And as we were going around, I counted there was 7 instances of students having initiative and just a spark and an ownership and a care. This one girl who cared for the other girls, which we talked about a few minutes ago in the last podcast, but that was one of them. And so to me it was like, it was a fun way that, we had our biggest number, but what was really cool was there were 7 kids that stepped up and showed initiative in ways that does not happen in our ministry. And to me, that is a cool thing. That is a thing that I'm remembering and I'm thinking about. And I want to pour gasoline on that fire. So that, anyhow.
Okay, so you've been at your church for 16 months, 18 months?
Yeah, 18 months.
What are some ways that you're beginning to see signs of health outside of numbers?
Yeah, part of it is the team that I had, both volunteers and some of the staff that I've got on the team, fortunate to have paid staff, is they're just starting to get what youth ministry ought to look like, or at least what our style of youth ministry ought to look like. And so it's very cool to see things being suggested, not just ideas like, oh, what if we showed this video, which is great to get ideas, but real like ownership and, hey, how do we get kids from here to here? And actually Tori, your daughter, we had talked 3 months ago as a team, what if we did something for staff kids and pastors' kids, what could we do, blah blah blah, and it was just one of those ideas that was a good idea, but we didn't follow up on it, and so she brought that up just a few days ago, and that's a really cool thing. I mean, that's not on her plate, that's not one of her responsibilities, and just to be showing more ownership. So one thing that to me is very cool is the ownership of the leaders in the ministry. So I really like the ownership part. And then for us, I challenge kids to do student leadership, which I maybe was 7 months behind on that. I wanted to do it 7 months ago, but I kind of I got derailed on a different project. And the response that we got, I mean, literally I printed out 11 applications, info packets, whatever, to say if we got 9 kids to be excited about student leadership, like that would be great. I would be stoked, and we ended up, we had a lot more that were interested, and it was so cool to see what it was about. And when I explained student leadership, I said, hey, this isn't a club. Like, this is if you want to serve. Like, if you love Jesus and you love our ministry and you love serving other people, this is really a serving club. So I didn't paint this picture of, online a couple of weeks ago I saw this youth group. They have for the school year, they have a president and a vice president of their youth group, which I've never heard of before. And I just thought it was so, funny, interesting. They do that for ASB. But I said, this is not the glamorous club. And it was great to see so many people interested in serving.
So you were hoping for 9, so you really shot for the stars then, huh?
That's one way to put it. Yes. That's one way. That's one way to put it.
I think you're 23 years old. You're asking this question about realistic expectations. I would set what you think God has put on your heart, and then find out if they're realistic or not. When I was young in youth ministry, I remember thinking I wanted my volunteers to meet every week, and that's where I tell the famous funnel story of them coming to volunteer meeting and go, no more fun, and I walked into what is realistic because I was idealistic, so I had all these ideas that I wanted for them, and some stuck and some didn't. So I think what's realistic is you're in touch with your volunteers, you're in touch with your team, you're in touch with God's leading and God's Spirit. So go for it. Set up some expectations and find out a year from now whether they're realistic or not.
Yeah.
Some will be, some won't be, and then make adjustments.
Yeah. And in a way, it's almost like it doesn't matter what your goals are. Have some goals. and go forward.
Yeah,
but
you can adjust along the way.
Yeah, just along the way. But the foundation to that is, are you walking with Jesus? Are you walking with people?
Yeah.
You know, are you just taking a leadership paradigm and trying to fill in a spreadsheet?
Or you're listening to somebody else's youth group and you're hearing what they're doing, you're just taking that idea and then throwing it in, going, it was realistic for Saddleback, so maybe it'll be realistic for us. And it's not going to be.
Yeah.
So, good question. Hey, this guy doesn't want his name read on the air. We haven't done a money question in a long time.
Oh.
So it's a long one, but let me give you the essence of it. He's barely making the group minimum. The group magazine does their yearly survey. He says, even with his raise, I'm still well below my region's average salary, which is disappointing given my church's size, my education, job performance. Now, here's what happened. An accidental email comes out where he realizes that the recently hired church video guy,
oh no,
you can see where this is going.
I was going to say,
makes more than he does.
$25,000 more than he does.
I'm cringing right now.
We have that all the time at Saddleback.
I know.
Those
That's why it's
techie, those business, the computer. Well, the database guy would be working at Oracle making $200,000. Well, we'll go work at Oracle then.
I'm knowing how underpaid I am was already tough when I thought we as a church were having financial problems. Now, knowing how much less I'm making than what he's calling a non-ministry support staff member certainly isn't going to help. I'm wondering what other staff members at my church are making, which I know you're not supposed to do.
Yeah.
I hate thinking about money. I wish I hadn't seen that email. Have you ever heard of anything like this, or am I completely in left field and being too sensitive? I've heard about this a lot.
A billion times.
I've experienced this a lot. I experienced this when I was supervising Katie, and I'm my thing for years is always trying to get my people more money, and people would come in with that were either male or in another department.
Yeah.
Because I sat at the elder table. I saw what everybody in the whole church made.
Yeah.
And I can remember going, do you guys know how valuable Katie Edwards is to this place? And having to fight and going, that is it's just not fair. But, I sat there for a lot of years fighting for youth ministry budgets to be pushed up when, unfortunately in the church, until you make a little bit of a noise, people don't come to you and go, Matt, you're doing a great job, I'm going to raise your salary. You're going to get your cost of living here or there, but every once in a while when it's time to go, hey, I need to fight for my salary. If you don't have somebody fighting for your salary, I think you're in trouble. So, here's a guy who's below the region.
Thanks for telling me I'm in trouble.
You're in trouble.
Well,
I wonder if he has a supervisor that he can talk to about it.
Well, let's go to big picture principle. So, if you do, you talk to your supervisor. That's wounding.
Yeah, I mean, just come clean. Hey, I saw this email. I know I wasn't supposed to, but man, this hurts.
Yeah,
that type of thing.
There is this totally sucks. So not to minimize that at all,
sure.
But there is a degree of which just happens in lots of organizations, is that when you bring somebody in
that has a skill set,
well, I think there's
4
two
years
things
later.
there. But you bring somebody in, if someone has been homegrown, you pay. They tend to get paid less than somebody that you bring in that you're trying to woo, that you're trying to make it worth their while.
Totally.
And it's not the way it should be. I remember arguing for salaries when I was doing regionals at Saddleback, and I was with the HR lady. Was great, and the executive pastor, and then my boss, and I'm starting to actually foam at the mouth like I've got rabies. And I said, "That's communism. Are you kidding? Just because this person's getting reamed over in this part of the church doesn't mean we also ream this person of the church too. Raise both their salaries, or at least raise one. I just raise one, and then if this lady even knew that somebody else was getting paid, I bet you she'd be happy. She would want more money herself, but at least you're not." It just gets so frustrating.
It's a tough one. It's a battle.
I remember that.
We're experiencing a little bit, Seth doesn't even know this, but we bring Seth out and Jim Burns and I commit to a certain salary for Seth.
You paid him more than me. I remember that because he was in a different department of the church. I forgot about that. You were keeping quiet over there. That's what you're thinking right now, right?
Yeah,
I'm just enjoying this conversation.
He's so joyous right now.
I forgot about that. That happened to me.
Yeah, good for you. What happened?
He was in. So
let me finish my story, and then you can just.
You couldn't see it on his face. He's like, I hope we don't bring this up.
So we bring Seth in, and Seth is a contractor, but he's also being written checks from people at Homeward who have been there for a long time and not making that amount. It's not like Seth is, making rain.
Millions,
not at all. He couldn't even afford to write on Josh's blog.
More than dodgeball.com. In passing.
He lets anybody write on that.
No, I didn't mean write. I just meant
advertise. He couldn't have paid it for to advertise.
There you go. All right, but. So this happens all the time, and it's a real issue. Especially, I think the homegrown thing is difficult because when you're trying to move somebody, and that was part of the Griff Deal. The reason we could even do the Griff Deal is because it wasn't at the church.
Well, that was the thing. That was the funny thing about this situation was there was two arms of the church. There was the church and then the shadow of the church, which didn't create stuff. They just sold stuff because the resource part of the church, which wasn't the church, they sold, so they had tons more budget.
Yeah.
And so I remember that, and honestly, it was funny. It was what it is. It's great. You don't remember any of this?
No, I remember everything.
Oh, okay. I thought you did. I thought you did.
Well, and coming from outside of our church back in the day, I had done like a cost of living analysis and went, if I don't hit this number, I'm taking a huge step backwards with this position.
Right.
And the salary, even as generous as it was,
you still were taking a hit.
Well, I took a hit. We lived in an apartment for several, it was and I'm sure we were paid out of character, obviously, getting paid more than the high school pastor at the time or whatever.
Yeah.
But all that to say, unfortunately, oftentimes I think the best way to get a raise is to leave the church.
Go to another place,
which
is just a drag.
And I'm not saying that's the right answer or the best way or whatever, but if you're, how to get more money, leave your organization and go to another one.
In 196 shows, we've talked about money 10 times.
Yeah.
We've talked about that. We've also talked about going to your supervisor.
I
told my story about when I was at Mariners many, many years ago. Kathy wanted to stop working and start a family. I just went and said, I'm going to have to look and less. And they graciously came to the table with more money, so we didn't have to leave. Not everybody will do that.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go talk about money, you've got to be able to leave. But you want to have, as often as you can, you just want to have somebody fighting for you, somebody who's got your back and somebody who wants to keep you. The reality is whatever. So when I was there, I'm fighting for your guys' salary, and they say we're not going to pay Josh anymore, and what they're paying. Okay, so let's say we lose Josh, and we have to go get a high school guy. We're gonna pay one. We're probably gonna have to pay more to get him there. If you lose so much time and traction trying to do that.
Yeah, well,
but the other thing is, this guy also, the flip side of this coin, this guy also said yes to this job knowing what he was making.
Right.
I did the same thing with Seth that I did with you, is to say, here's what we can do, let's try it for a year.
Let's do it.
And then you kind of have this hungry experiment on both ends too.
Well, in this case, we haven't talked a ton about it, but the guy's making a comparison, and something that you've said that others have said for a long time: when you compare, you lose.
Yeah.
And there's no way for you to win in this scenario. It is going to eat at you and fester and boil, and it is going to destroy you from the inside out. So I'm not sure that I have the right wisdom to say how you let that go or how you address it or whatever, but I can tell you that there is a seed of discontent that has been planted that is apparent, even though you paraphrase the whole email. We don't even know who this guy is or gal, whatever. That is a serious issue that is now deeply put into your persona.
Well,
that
I think
it has to be addressed.
You need to reflect on where you're currently at too. Do you love your role, and do you love where you're at? And great ministry is happening and you know that that's where God wants you to be, part of that is letting go. You know, for me, I know how much most people make too, and I know quite a few people that make more than me, but I love my role and I love where I'm at, and I know I'm right where God wants me to be. So I mean, part of that is letting go of the comparison and letting go of those feelings, knowing like, gosh, you know, it could be better, but it's so sweet where I'm at, and I know that I'm where I'm supposed to be. So
and there is a piece of that piece.
Interesting.
IEC of EAC. There's a piece of having that piece.
Piece of the piece.
That is worth a lot.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Because you took a pay cut when you left Saddleback to go to Mariners, but you wanted out of that job and what you were doing so bad, you'd have taken Mariners probably could have got a better deal on it.
That's not true. Then that's an overstatement. I mean, I went back into Saddleback. I mean, I didn't negotiate for a salary and ended up moving on to the leadership team where, you know, it was me and 7 other guys. This is when you were the elders and we were the management team or whatever. Well, of those 7 people, I had been there the longest and I was one of 2 that was building something new for their church. I mean, everybody else was maintaining, and so there's 2 of us that were actually doing something brand new. Yeah. And I just thought, and I was at the bottom. You know, I was at the bottom of the totem pole, and I just remember going, "This is crazy." You know, that I've been here the longest. I would stack my experience up with any of these guys in the room, and what it is I'm tasked to do. Yeah. You know, by any measure, why am I at the bottom of the barrel?
Because you came in you were promoted from within the youth ministry world.
Well, yeah. I mean, I left. I was gone for a year and then came back, and so that actually, I came back with a little bit more, a little bit more clout. But you also do, you do what you can. I'm in a similar situation with what you're saying, Katie, because I left Saddleback to go to Group, and that was a pay cut, but I really felt like this is what God wanted me to do, and it was great. I left from that, and gosh, I didn't even think. Just imagine we were friends. I forgot the podcast was even being recorded right now. This sounds horrible that I'm admitting that, but if you love what you're doing, you feel like you're called, and you could do it without being bitter at the money part, then that's okay. It's okay if other people are getting paid more than you, and it's okay. You don't have to. That's a world's way of measuring things.
There's a million excuses too to why things are the way they are, or why you get paid the way that you're. Not excuses, but just explanations or whatever. Right. And you, at some point, it is what it is, and you either are excited about it or, not.
And at the end of the day, do you want to make videos? Or do you want to do something?
Do you
want to change lives?
Yeah. Do you want to sell sugar water?
Oh,
or
God. There you go.
All right, let's move on. Change the subject.
Video guys.
I just got to say one thing about Video Guy, though.
Speaking of money,
can I say something about Video Guy?
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Is that what's odd? Looking at it, forget this person's point of view, just from a business or a trying to be a steward of your money perspective. There are so many people out there doing video that you don't have to bring a full-time video person. That's true. I mean, there are so many people that can do good video.
I forgot to add that the Video Guy was the senior pastor's son.
No, you didn't.
Oh crap! That would have been awesome. Then I'm out.
Touchdown. That's right.
That was
good.
Right. It's like graphic designers. You don't need an in-house graphic designer for your church. Everything, outsource everything.
Yeah.
Cheap. Students in your youth ministry are better graphic designers than
and shooting video too.
Yeah, honestly, yes. Some of
that's a tough one.
Videos.
That's a tough one. That's the kind of one that we want that guy to come to the gathering. When we create this gathering, those are the things that'd be fun to talk about in smaller groups.
Kind of make fun of them.
No.
But also kind of, I noticed that we all kind of got wounded, defensive,
all
bristled.
4 of us have been in a place like that.
Yeah, it's an injury. We're all like,
yeah. No, that is the.
I'm talking about my whole money history there. Griff always comes out on top. What are you talking about?
Griff,
what are you? You're the youth ministry mogul, for goodness sake. What's happening? We're the two.
The working stiffs.
That's right. We're the working stiffs.
All I can say is thank you.
little work for youth ministry.
Hey, Remedy, who supports us and sponsors us and hosts this and the whole bit. 313131. Text that. 313131. Put in the word Soul Medic.
Soul Medic.
And they're going to choose a name for Starbucks and also for T-shirt. Also Leader Tracks, Youth Ministry 360.
You can't
APU.
text those guys.
No, but they're big sponsors. You can buy their stuff, and you can join us at the Youth Specialties Convention.
We'll be there.
Well, and the cool thing about Remedy Live is they are looking for, they have like a nationwide presence of people who they call soul medics, which are pastoral care peeps, and that they do pastoral care over the internet, over texting and stuff like that, where it's anonymous until it meets a need with kids. And so if you're interested in that, you can be part of that.
Team.
This Jason Brown from Plainville, Georgia, he says he's 3/4 of the way of being a double rewinder, and I've just started my second year of student ministry. And you guys, because we have one double rewinder.
That is, I just
one.
Yep, one. I was watching.
Is that the platinum wall? What is that? The golden wall?
we need to have.
We need like
a cycle wall
what do
or
we
something
have?
like
Wall
that.
of Fame?
Seriously.
What do we have?
He says, and you guys, Natalie, Jana, Katie, have been a huge help and encouragement. Anywho, what are some suggestions you should include in a free New Believers packet for students? I've already ordered 2 cases of New by Youth Ministry 360.
That's the first go-to.
And I used the promo code to save my ministry some valuable currency, which I always forget to give the promo code.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Write it on the book. What is it?
I think you enter in, just call them and tell them you listen to the podcast.
On the website, just call them.
Yeah.
Who prepped this thing?
I don't know. Seth's now in charge of all the sponsors.
There's a ball just got dropped around here. Where did that roll off?
The cracks.
I don't know if he's been told that yet.
I'm going to say YM Garage or YMG. Give him a shot. It's a promo code. Type it in. See what happens.
Yeah, YMG.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would you put as part of the New Believers packet? One thing from each of us. Ready, go. I'll start.
Okay, go.
I would put together a little thing on where to start reading in the Bible. You know, maybe give them maybe a short little Bible reading plan. Don't make them feel guilty. Well, you can keep reading plan. I just want them to start in a gospel rather than in Leviticus. So something like that. If we give them a New Testament, most kids, they're going to read from the beginning, and I'd rather them start with, let's just start with Jesus and read about Jesus. And so that's what I would add.
And I do like how to get connected to a mentor, like just someone to walk with you, or how to kind of take a next step with somebody, because I think that connection with the new believer is so key.
Should we hang on?
Yep.
Do we have
I thought
anything?
You were pointing at me to go.
No, I was. You know all the products on Download Youth Ministry. Do we have like a New Believers?
Yeah, we do. It's called. Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but we do.
Or we will by the time the show comes up.
By the time Matt ever gets it out, no, we do. It's like a New Believers packet. You can download, edit yourself, and print it out, and you're good to go. Yeah,
great.
It's similar to like a
for like
$5
for
$5. Yeah.
Which I've got one on my computer. I should get that in there.
Yes, please. DownloadYouthMinistry.com. Here's what I would say. I would put a card in there that has like a Starbucks logo on it or something. It says, I'd love to buy you coffee and follow up with you and just talk through your experience here and how we can help you get better connected.
Yeah.
So an invitation for a one-on-one or whatever type of relationship. Maybe even just put the gift card right in there and say, go to Starbucks and think about what you've learned and how you've grown, and if you'd like, I'd love to join you. I don't know what that is exactly, but some kind of a card in there would be cool.
That's great.
Great. Did you?
Nope. One of the things we've done in the past, which we're not doing right now because we've got so many things we're doing, is some simple journal questions, like a couple pages of like, what was your life before? What was your life like before? What led to this decision? How would you describe God? And it's just a simple.
And maybe something on how to journal. Or why journal? So
There's definitely a thing that's like, hey, just write whatever comes to mind. There's no wrong answer. There's some things that
add that to the list for DYM stamping.
Seriously.
So
I think cool would be like a place that if you like, what are your questions? Just as a new believer, I remember when I accepted Christ in high school, just being like, I don't know what this word is, or what does this mean? I heard you guys say this. Like, I wonder if there's just a page where they could write down questions and connect with you or something on your questions.
That's good. That's
Matt
really
uses
good.
too much Greek, and then I.
Oh my
All right.
Always
Hey,
using Greek and
Matt's
YouTube.
vocab.
that question, by the way, is from our buddy Jason Brown, who also, this is what Seth prepared me with.
Oh.
Is that Jason Brown is a new Hall of Fame
Congratulations.
member.
Oh.
Jason Brown from Plainville, Georgia.
Welcome to the Super Team.
We have a Hall of Fame. We have a Hall of Fame. But here's one of the things that Seth's got on his list. Seth's got a pretty long list of things to do.
Seriously.
Is to add last names. We've got great photos, first names.
Oh, yeah.
So hey, if you're on the Hall of Fame, and which means you'll be listening to this,
Yeah.
add your last name
There you go.
to that. Okay?
Please.
How do we do that?
Yeah, actually, that'd be great if they could add it, because right now we only asked for the first.
How can they add it?
We'll have to come up with a
Yeah.
easy way
Just
for
a
that.
simple-
Yeah, just
You
go.
can do it.
Just go on. Send us a question. Send us a
Yeah.
question in that question form and say, "I'm on the Hall of Fame
Oh,
under
there you
Jason. My last
Yeah.
name is Brown."
And we'll get
All right.
Chris Jason then.
Yeah. You guys are the best.
Love it.
It's
Good
great
show.
to be here with you. It's hotter than snot.
Who's the best? The people
Two-
listening or us in the room?
I was thinking the people listening. Yeah,
What
but
about
I
us in the
also
room?
I
Do we get
We're the
included
best
in
of the
that?
best.
yeah.
Second best.
You guys are the
Second
best.
best.
I
We're the
love you
best
guys.
people in the
This is
room.
fun.
I
It's
like
always
being
great to
second
be
best.
together.
It
is.
Always
Yeah,
good to be
and
together.
after 5 years, we got sponsors. I
Yeah,
love that.
game
This
on.
is- This is
Beautiful. Now we
legit.
just got to get them to pay something.
Man, don't press your luck.
Second show right in a row, just dinging the sponsors.
I
Way to
know.
go.
Here we go.
Thanks a lot.
On our road to 200. See you at San Diego National Youth Workers Convention or
be there.
Dallas. Dallas.
Or Dallas. We'll,
Where's the third one at this year?
no third
Two.
one. San Diego.
You weren't invited to the third?
There's a
No
secret
was
one in
invited
Atlanta.
to the third.
Just
I'm thinking of YS Palooza as well.
It's in Atlanta too. In November.
Where do we go?
No,
We're done?
October. October 19th to 20th. Yeah.
Hello.
Done.
We're done.
Let's just everybody focus in on
Bye.
Katie for a second.
zoom in. Can you zoom in with
Everybody-
the remote?
I
Zoom
can
in.
zoom in.
Stop.
See where it goes. Oh, we're zooming in on a sponsor.
Whose head is it? Oh, that's mine.
Leader
There
checks.
we go. That's good. This is actually high
I didn't know
tech.
you could do that. That's pretty impressive.
All right, let's end this thing.